Welcome to Budget Form Training for Departments for fiscal year 2012-2013. This training is intended to provide you with a high-level understanding on how to navigate through your form and enter your department's staffing and non-salary budgets. When you first open your form, you want to ensure that you enable the macros. To do this, click on the Options bar across the top of the screen. Select the Enable Content button and click OK. This will ensure that your macros run properly and the form is used to its capacity. The first page that you will see is the Budget Guidance page. This tab is a resource to help you as you work your way through the budget form. Included on this tab is instructions to use throughout each step of the process, as well as quick links to take you to each tab in the worksheet. Before we begin with step 1, let's quickly review the Budget Summary tab. You can do that by clicking on the tab below or scrolling down and clicking on the quick link at the Budget Guidance tab. This tab will display your overall fiscal year 2012-2013 budget. As you populate your form with your staffing and non-salary budgets, the allocation will appear in the requested budget table. Once you have used your entire target, this cell will turn green. We will revisit this tab once we have added some examples.
Once you have reviewed the Budget Summary tab, please navigate back to the first tab in which we started. Starting with step 1, we'll staff your department with exempt employees. You can either select the link or move to the next tab to the right. Take a moment to become familiar with this tab. You'll see that it's broken down into 3 different sections, section A, B, and C. And at the top, over on the right, you'll have the General Funds Budget Summary. For the first section, in section A, you'll see all of your current employees as of 2/17/2012 listed. For this example, we have only one individual within your department, showing the account number in which they are currently coded to, the FTE amount, the annual salary, hourly rate, hours per DAC, and work days per year. For section A, if your intention is to keep the person that is currently listed, you would navigate over to the right portion of section A and enter in the allocation again. So for this person, we will enter in 1.0 FTE. You'll see, once you enter the FTE amount, the hours per day, work days per year, budgeted salary, and benefits will populate, and in the table above, you'll note that that amount is then reduced from your overall budget. Moving on to section B. This is the section within this tab you'll use to modify any employees listed in the section above that require a change in bargaining unit, job code, account number, BR, or hourly rate. If you're unsure of information to be entered regarding bargaining unit, job code, and hourly rate, please contact HR. Questions pertaining to account code information, please contact your financial partner. To enter an example, I'm going to take the employee listed above and re-enter his information listed. Choose the correct bargaining unit, enter in the job code description, then proceed to the account number, select the job class from the drop-down box, enter in the BR and the corresponding hourly rate. You'll notice I made changes to the project and hourly rate for this individual. Now scrolling to the right, we'll go ahead and remove the 1.0 FTE we previously had entered for that individual Move down now to the FTE allocation for the modified changes, 1.0 FTE, and enter in the corresponding work days per year. For this example, we'll stay at 235 days. Similar to Section A, you'll see that the salary and benefit information populates automatically, and that amount will be reduced from the overall budget found in the table in the top right. Finally, moving on to Section C. This is the last section of this tab. This will be used to add in vacancies for fiscal year 2012-2013. Enter in the employee name if known, otherwise type in vacancy. Enter the bargaining unit for that employee, the job code and description, the corresponding account code information, select the correct job class, enter in the BR, and the corresponding hourly rate. Similar to sections A and B, you'll go over to the right, fill in the FTE allocation for this employee, and the work days per year. Again, you'll notice that the salary and benefit information populates automatically and is reduced from the overall budget found in the top right of this form.
Once you have entered all of your exempt employees from your department into this tab, you're ready to move on to the non-exempt employees by clicking on the associated tab. This tab is very similar to the exempt employees in that it's broken out into Section A, Section B, Section C. However, this tab has an additional Section D, which we will cover in detail in a moment. Section A, just like the exempt employees, is used to account for employees that are already in your building that require no change. You'll scroll all the way to the right and re-enter the FTE allocation for that employee. For this employee, we'll enter a 1.0. It will populate the hours per day as well as the workdays per year and the budgeted salary. This amount will then be reduced from your target budget in the summary above, similar to the exempt employees tab. Section B is again where you will modify any employees within your department in terms of bargaining unit, job code, account number, hourly rate, workdays per year, or budget responsibility. Once you enter any changes, again you'll go to the right, enter the FTE allocation, hours per day, etc., and the amount will again be reduced from your targeted budget. Section C is again the same as the exempt employees tab, which will be used to enter any new employees or vacancies that you plan to staff in your department for the upcoming year. Similar to sections A and B, scroll to the right, enter the FTE allocation, hours per day, and work year. Once you have populated all of your exempt employees into sections A, B, and C, you can move on to section D, which is used to input any overtime or extra duty pay that you plan to use for the year. Since overtime and extra duty pay are budgeted based on account number rather than employee, it is not necessary to enter the employee information in the gray cells. These squares are grayed out to show that they are not available for input, similar to the other cells in this form. Only white cells can be used to input information. We will enter an example where we put overtime funds into the account for the employee listed above. Begin by inputting the account number, select the job class from the drop-down menu. The object will be either a 0150, which you will use for additional extra duty or stipends, or a 0130, which you will use for overtime pay. Select the BR, and then scroll to the right to input the budgeted amount for that account. For this example, we'll add $1,000 to this account for overtime pay. You will note that the amount entered in this cell is broken out between the budgeted salary and the budgeted benefits. This amount will then be deducted in the summary above from your targeted budget.
Once you have entered in all the non-exempt employees into this tab, you're ready to move on to the non-salary expense tab. Please take a moment to become familiar with this tab. You'll see in the top left, there's a summary that breaks out your budget so far by fund, target, non-salary amount, salary and benefits, budget in the previous two tabs, the remaining balance to be distributed, and the total FTEs at this point. You'll notice in the section below, the account numbers used in this current year will be pre-populated. If you choose to re-budget in these accounts, you can enter that amount in this cell. $10,000 for example, and you can use the comment cell to the right to enter in any comments you'd like to make in regards to how those funds are to be used in the upcoming year. In the section below for new accounts, this is where you would enter in the account number and the requested budget that you'd like for the upcoming year. You begin by entering in the BR for this account, the fund, your location, the SRE, program, project number, and in the cell here you'll have a drop-down list which will allow you to choose from all the different objects that are available to you. I'll choose other professional services for this example. Again, in the requested budget cell you would enter the amount you were wanting to budget for the upcoming year. And again, utilize the comment cell to the right to indicate the purpose for this budget going forward. As you work your way through the rest of the non-salary expense tab, please keep an eye on the general funds budget summary showing the remaining amount to be distributed within your budget. For the example of this training, we've entered in another account number, which I will enter in $8,933, the remaining amount to be distributed. Once that's entered, you'll notice that the cell above will turn green, indicating that your budget is now balanced. You're now ready to navigate to the budget summary tab. Now you will see all the different allocations in which you have budgeted, and again showing that your entire budget has now been balanced with the cells turning green. Upon evaluation of this tab, if you find that you have a variance, either over or under with any of your targets, you will need to return to steps 1 through 3 to adjust your budget so that it falls within your given targets. At any point while navigating through this form, feel free to refer back to the first tab, the Budget Guidance tab, that will give you instructions and helpful tips on how to navigate through the rest of the form.
Once you have completed this form and are confident that you have budgeted for all of your staffing and non-salary needs for the upcoming year, the form is ready to be reviewed. Your financial partner will review your form to ensure an accurate submittal. Upon final approval, a copy of your budget will be sent to you and the executive director responsible for your BR. This training video is intended to provide you with a high-level understanding of how to navigate through your budget form. For more detailed information, please be sure to refer to the Budget Guidance Manual, which is available on the Budget Office website. The Budget Guidance Manual contains detailed instructions on the budget form and valuable information such as timelines and account code structure. If you have further questions or things that are specific to your department, please feel free to contact your financial partner or HR with those types of questions. We appreciate your time and look forward to seeing you during budget development.